Hi, my name is Joel Foreman, and I'd like to show you a quick demo on how to host a Silverlight application in Windows Azure entirely through the Content Delivery Network. The CDN, with its 24 nodes currently worldwide, will help deliver better performance to your end users because they'll be downloading the Silverlight application locally through a CDN location rather than directly from a hosted web service. So let me start by creating a new Silverlight app. I'll call this Silverlight app. And that sounds good. Alright, so now that that's loaded up, I'm going to go ahead and steal some sample content for a little mini demo that I have. Now there's a few things that you'll want to do in order to be able to host your website entirely through the CDN. So with recent changes to the Content Delivery Network in Windows Azure, you can now have a hosted service or your website, web application in Azure be the source of content. Before, it was only blobs in blob storage. And when you create a CDN endpoint that will map to your hosted service, it will map to a folder called CDN. So we need to add a new folder. And what we want to do now is make sure that anything referenced from that folder, if we're looking at moving the entire package itself, will be able to be downloaded from that folder. So we don't need this. Let me go ahead and get rid of it. I'm going to rename this index. It will be the default file, and I'm going to move these two items inside that folder. Now let me go ahead and make a couple changes here in the index file. Like I said, I want everything to be referenced relatively. So when we're referencing the Silverlight.js file, where was that? Did I miss it? There it is. So see that it already is. So like it was at the root before, and since we moved both of these files into that, we still have a relative reference from the index.html file to the Silverlight.js file. So that's great. The other thing I want to do is change where we're going to get the zap file from. So it originally was looking for it in client bin, and we don't want that because we want it to be referenced out of the CDN folder so that that content can also be cast to the CDN. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change so that it's referencing the zap file from a relative location right alongside my index.html page. Now you're probably thinking, hey, that's not where the zap file is going to be when I create this, and you're absolutely right. If I rebuild this solution, the zap file is created in client bin. And what I'm going to do simply here for this example is just copy it into the CDN location. Now, if you're going to do this in a real application, you'll probably want to do it via automate that step in a post-build task or something like that. But for right now, I'm just copying it in. So now I want to go ahead and add a new project. Let's add a cloud service. Call this cloud. Okay. We don't need to add any web roles because we are going to add an existing one that's in our project. That looks great. Save that. Let me make sure everything is going to build here. Great. And what we can do now is publish our Silverlight application. I'm going to create the service package only. So that's going to create a cloud package file and a configuration file for me. Now, to keep this demo short and sweet, I've already uploaded this to a new hosted service in the Windows Azure Management Portal. So if I come here, you can see that here's my Silverlight CDN sample. Here's my deployment, and let's go take a look at this guy. Now, and I've also already added the CDN endpoint. You can see that if I browse directly to the root of my application, I get an error because there's nothing there. We've created that index file, but it's inside the CDN folder. If I come and say CDN, brilliant, there's my app. So that's not that interesting. What is interesting is seeing this served out of the Windows Azure CDN, because that's really going to give me my improved performance. So let me come over and go back to the management portal. Actually, it's right here. And I've already enabled a CDN endpoint. That's for that CDN sample and you can see that it's going to map to the WAC CDN folder. So here is my URL. You go ahead and take this, and I'm going to open that up in Firefox. And if I load this in a browser here, I see my sample app. Now let's check out a couple things here in Firebug. If I look at where the Silverlight JS or the Silverlight ZAP file is being served, it's being served out of the CDN location. So that means that when I build my Silverlight app that's getting a ton of traffic, my users are going to see great performance because they are going to be, their client browser is going to be downloading these files from a local CDN location rather than traveling directly to the hosted service for that download. So yeah, I think that's a great example about how the CDN can help you build high-performing web applications.